Something we have been waiting for a very long time. We have Rowdy Dragon not only on the show, but on video on YouTube. We are chatting face to face on a Zoom call. Welcome to the show in a very different and unique way, Rowdy.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's good to be here. I love it. We're making history today. I don't think we've ever had three people on the show, right?
Maybe it'll be a sign of things to come for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is definitely uncharted territory. So this is pretty fun. And it's cool to actually put a face to Mr. Rowdy Dragon. How cool is that?
It's about
time. Absolutely. If you're listening to the podcast, you got to head over to our YouTube channel over at TobyChristieCom. We're going to have it up there as well. It's just really cool to put a face to the name. And the reason we're doing that is because we are heading into a 10-race playoff in NASCAR. And I figured, you know what? This is a great opportunity to discuss fantasy NASCAR rather than just hear your expertise. And that way we can ask questions and stuff.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
So, all right. How about this? First and foremost, we're heading into the 10-race playoff. Darlington is the first race. It's a 3-3-3-1. That's how the playoffs work out. Who are the first four drivers eliminated?
Ooh. Wow, you put me on the spot there.
I'll let you stew on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But what do we have for the first few races? We've got Darlington, Kansas, and Bristol. Boy, those couldn't be any different, or more different, I should say.
Yeah, so you think about it, and I would say like a lot of people are going to probably be picking like Bubba Wallace to kind of be an early exit, but he's really good at Kansas. So that's a guy that I think probably makes it through. Chris Buescher, a lot of people are kind of going, is this kind of like a for real thing, or is he going to kind of fall off in the playoffs? He's really good at Bristol. So yeah, I think those guys definitely make it through for sure.
So real quick, Rowdy, what's very frustrating about you is you're so good at fantasy NASCAR. I mean, you were good before you were doing the spot on the show. You continue to be good. I hate to ask what's your secret, but I mean, every week you give us your secrets, and the weeks that I don't follow them is when I do the worst.
I couldn't tell you what it is, probably because I've been playing for so long, so many different platforms. I do kind of see patterns in numbers, so that kind of helps a little bit. But, just put your nose to the grind every week and, see what you can come up with as far as stats and whatnot. I used to not handicap whatsoever. It was just all podcasting. When you guys started, you were my second podcast. Toby mentioned Rowdy Racing way back in the day. That was my namesake, actually. I used to listen to those guys. And that's where I came from, and it
really
started
good dudes,
there.
By the way.
I'm sorry?
They're really good dudes, by the way. Really, really good guys.
Yeah. I don't know whatever happened to them.
They had a buyout.
We're still here.
Sporting news and all sorts of other weird stuff happened with that. Yeah. So.
Well, that's where Rowdy was born, and of course, that's where my namesake came from. And I played various different iterations of games, so one after another. And in some years, I'm doing 10, 11 different game platforms, but I've dialed that way back. Yeah, I've dialed it way back.
Wow.
I keep doing that.
That's
I gotta have a life.
I can't even keep track of the one.
I had no idea you were that deep into it every single week. So how much do you look at qualifying? How much do you look at practices when there are practices? How much do you look into all that stuff?
Oh, it's huge. Depending on the track, like Daytona last week, I don't bother with it. You're throwing darts, but for the latter part of most tracks, I'm diving into stats from comparable tracks, from years past. Right now, I'm focused on the next gen car. And, because it feels like the parity is starting to come back in towards the end of the season here. The guys are, for my life, I can't pick the winner from week to week. I think I got 2 or 3 picks this year.
Wow.
But it's just been crazy.
And it started looking like we were going to go the other way with it. And then now, like you said, towards the season, as it keeps going, it's kind of going back to the way it was early last year where it was so unpredictable.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So now, in terms of the game, fantasy NASCAR, it gets reset, right, for the next 10?
Correct. We get reset. It's 5 picks now, so you actually have a better percentage because over the 26 races you get 10 picks, and then it resets to 10 races you get 5 picks. So if you got 10 drivers, you average every other pick. Every other week you can take those 10 drivers. So spread it out.
Yep.
It's what I've been preaching all year. Spread it out. That way, when you get to the end of the season, you have drivers left that you can choose from.
Yeah, you got to use your Byrons. You got to use your Byrons wisely, right?
Yes, that's what I said last week. I just totally miffed on that one. All my other leagues were fine, but this one I opened up and boom, big fat goose egg, and that just ruined everything. And you can't have something like that. If you want to win, it's just like racing. You can't have any mistakes. So, these guys up front just powered right past me. So I got some work to do now.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious how each year we change who the person is we're trying to save. It's like save your Jimmys, and it's like save your Hamlins, and now it's save your Byrons. So it's just funny how it changes each year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we get too far into things, though, we should probably thank our sponsors of the show, Kerry. You want to go ahead and do that real quick?
We're going to do that here? Okay, sure.
Sure. Why not?
All right. Go ahead.
Let's go ahead and thank our 4 sponsors of the show on Patreon there, patreon.com/Final Lap. We've got Devin. We've got Louisville Max. We've got, what else we got here? Joe Bike, the man, the myth, the legend. He's been here forever. And, of course, David Letchworth actually reached out to me earlier this week and apologized for being gone from being a sponsor for a while, but he's back, and it's like he never left. So it's pretty cool. Thanks, David, for being back.
Yeah, we actually connected ourselves, so I added him to my list. So we'll be hearing a little bit of David Letchworth here, too. AKA Wolfie Dragonfly.
Wow. And a couple of those guys are not too shabby at the fantasy racing either, are they?
Oh, they're good. Actually, Joe and David both had real good weeks this week. Blew us all away.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. So what makes the next 10 different aside from the 5 picks? How do you wrap your head around that? Because it's a different ball game with, the 16 drivers that are in the playoffs and then everybody else.
It's about being aggressive. You got to be really aggressive in the playoffs. You got to be conservative at the beginning of the year, spread those picks out. But here in the playoffs, who's doing what now. So you plug them into their best tracks and hope for the best. These guys they're dialed right now. Now, looking back again at the Hendrick guys and Byron.
Yeah.
They have been sleeping. All right. I think they're doing something over there. Of
course.
The way Byron came back in Indy, with no cautions to come up and finish what was top 15, and then he smokes the field up in Watkins Glen. I think you're going to see some action out of those boys this weekend.
Well, it's kind of the age-old thing for those guys, too. You look at Jimmy's championships back in the day. He would win a lot early, kind of go into a summer lull, and it'd be like, oh, is Jimmy done? And then he'd go on a run and win 5 straight championships.
Right.
Same with, Elliott won his championship kind of out of nowhere, just kind of got hot in the playoffs. So it's kind of a thing that we see a lot out of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And then you've got the road course kind of midway through the 10 race stretch. So then you're going to load up with maybe give your playoff drivers a break and put your Michael McDowells in there or whatever. Chase Elliott.
Again, playoffs is about being aggressive. Don't worry about running out of your drivers. Use them.
Well, then I'm going to put Byron the first 5.
It might work. You never know. It's going to be hard to run out of drivers in the playoffs.
All right. Well, I'm gonna set the camera over to you. Let's do your regular Rowdy Dragon picks for this weekend at Darlington, and give us your thought process and what you're thinking heading into this first race of the playoffs.
All right. Well, before we jump into the picks, let's take a look at the stage leaders from last week. We got to give them some kudos. For the first stage, Connor Allen. That's a new name I haven't mentioned before. And second stage, Utah Steve came in first in that one. And this week's winner, Tabby Cat. Now, I've mentioned that name a few times. Tabby Cat had 230 points, 30 stage points. Maximum on the day was 240. So Tabby Cat did quite well. Let's take a look at our picks and our standings. I finished in the 53rd. That puts me I stayed in the 7th position in the overall leagues. Toby, you finished in 208th.
Oof.
I don't know what happened.
rough week.
Daytona is what happened.
You were almost on the first page, and it dropped you back to 82nd. So you're sitting 82nd in the league now. And Kerry, you have a chance at catching him now. You finished in the 111th spot and currently sitting 118th. So we could have a good race here for you guys.
It seems to always come down to this, doesn't it?
Oh, it's great. You guys always have good races. I love tracking it. So let's take a look at our sponsors. And like I said, I added David Letchworth in this week. So Joe Bike, he came in 14th. He was our weekly high for our group here. He is currently sitting in 20th. So he's actually pretty good this year. Louisville Max Rough day for him, finishing 138th. He is sitting in 13th, so he's on the hunt. Devin, DL Racing King, he finished in 98th, sitting in 133rd. And David, Wolfie Dragonfly, Mr. Letchworth, he's in P22 and currently sits in the 32nd spot.
Incredible.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, we got some good players this year. They're really stepping it up now.
We've got races within the race.
Yeah, because what's your overall right now, Rowdy?
I'm in 7th, but I worked my way all the way up to 2nd and just lost it. So
that shows how hard it is, though. Like if you're battling around 7th, we know that's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, between Larson 2023 and Troy Clark, I got to give him props because I mean, it's got to be, I think it's somewhere around 5 a.m. noon here. It's about 5 a.m. depending on the time zones for them. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's there every week. I see him changing his picks live. So
wow,
that's a fan. You know, I got to give him props.
That's
no
amazing.
kidding. And I wonder how they even watch down there.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if they got Peacock, so who knows?
Yeah, I think Peacock's pretty region restricted to where it's only like US for the most part. No, even Joseph in Canada can't get it. So
yeah, and that's got to be nerve-wracking, you know,
that's
to not know, you know, whether you're going to be able to see it live. I mean, he'll be able to follow it live on the tracker, but that doesn't help. That doesn't help at all.
Right.
So
yeah, for sure.
Well, why don't we take a look at
weekend? How about Darlington?
Yeah, let's take a look at some picks here. I've got 3, like I said, we're going hot and heavy, 3 top tier drivers. We're starting with the 11 car Denny Hamlin. He's got 22 races run at the track with an average finish of 7.7. He's got 12 top 5s, finishing up there in 55% of his races, 16 top 10s, finishing up there in 73% of his races. And he's got 801 laps led, averaging out to 36 laps led per race. Hamlin has 4 wins at the track, so that's the most out of all the active drivers. Wow. Looking at his stage points, he's picked up stage points in 18 out of 22 races, only 1 stage win, and he's got 4 P2s in the stages. Now, looking at Darlington, it's a very high tire wear track. It's going to be real important for tire management. These guys, you got to have the best of the best to watch the tires.
Yeah,
he's one of the guys to beat when it comes to the Lady in Black. His last 2 Southern 500 races, he's got an average of 1.5 in his finish. You can't beat him right now, at least at Darlington. Hang on, we got a couple other drivers to talk about.
Okay.
In the spring, Denny finished in the 12th. Don't let that scare you. He's speed rankings on the intermediate tracks this year have him tied for 2nd with an average speed rank of 5.38. Now, looking at the next gen era, which includes last season as well as this season, Hamlin's ranked 7th on the speed rank with an average speed rank of 8.33. And like I said, he's going to be one to watch this Sunday. So looking at another driver, we got the 24, William Byron. We can use him again. We got him.
I knew it.
Kerry's going to burn right through him.
All right. Yep. Now, in 10 races, he's got an average finish of 16.8. Only has 2 top 5 finishes, but that is 20% of his runs. 4 top 10s, that's 40%. He's got 84 laps led, and he won 1 time over there. Stage points, he's picked up stage points in 12 out of 20 tries, and it's got 2 stage wins. So the last time we came to the track Too Tough to Tame, Willie B, he took down the trophy. He had the highest average running position at 3.68. His driver rating topped the charts at 126.2. He was the 2nd fastest early in the run, 3rd fastest late in the run. Shows real good balance for his team right there. In terms of speed, Byron ranked 2nd in total speed ranking, 2nd in green flag speed, and was 6th in 4th segment speed. Now, looking at all the high tire or intermediates in the next gen era, Byron's speed ranking have him listed 2nd with an average speed rank of 5.33. Now, I would highly consider using him this Sunday.
See, those are all things I would never have looked at.
You got to search. I'm digging deep.
Guess.
So, Rowdy, my question for you, we've got a guy like Eric Jones who's been so good at Darlington over the years, but his team has not been very good this year. Do you think maybe this is an outlier and he actually shows up this week?
I wouldn't mess with him, honestly. You don't have to. If you don't have to, don't. Legacy is they're hit and miss. He is good at this track, but this season he's not looking good. He's hit or miss, and you don't want to gamble on somebody that's a, say, third tier driver. When you can put in a couple of A's and B's, get away with some.
Oh no, I'm off the top 80 list. I kind of need to take chances.
True, you got to think outside of the box. But that could hurt your score, and make it impossible to catch back up too. So something to think about. So you're either protecting your points or you're making moves. So if you want to make moves, yeah, maybe, let's take a look at his stats. Yeah, I don't know. He
doesn't sound very confident.
Yeah,
he doesn't. This is showing why I'm 82nd in the league.
Well, I mean,
I'm like, he looks good. Tap.
Well, he does have an average finish of 12th place here, and he did win a year ago. So, but I don't know. I mean, it is a better track for him, but I'm just worried about Legacy right now. They're just not getting the equipment. They're going over to Toyota, so Chevy's not helping him out anymore. So they're just kind of running in the blind. So I really wouldn't put too much weight on them.
The problem, Toby, is Rowdy is sitting in front of a bank of monitors. He's got every stat and figure in front of him, and I'm just on my phone going, "Oh, I think he looks good. Yeah, he looks good. This is over breakfast, the morning of the race. He looks good."
Well, of course, by the time you're at breakfast, I'm sure you get the West Coast thing where you wake up really late, right?
No, I'm an early riser, so
I too.
Well, what a bummer.
Ooh, he has a shiny number.
Yeah. He has a shiny number. Chrome numbers. Let's go with that guy.
Wow. Okay, so we got what do we got? We got Hamlin and Byron.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to think out of the box, like Toby said. But we're not going to think out of the box with this third driver.
All right.
The 19 car, Martin Truex Jr. Again, another powerhouse. He's got 22 races run at the track with 13.2 average finish. He's got 4 top 5s in that period, finishing up there in the 18th percentile. He's got 19 top 10s. Now he's finished in the top 10 in 86% of his races.
Wow, that's a number.
Right? Yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody any better than that out here. He's led laps at 914, 41 laps led per race. He's got 2 wins, so he knows how to get around here. Now looking at his stage points, he's picked up stage points in 18 out of 22 tries, so not many gaps in his stage point picture. 7 stage wins. 7 stage wins. All right. That's 1/3 of his races at the track.
Holy crap. That's crazy.
And he's got 3 second places. So he knows how to stay up front in Darlington.
Okay. So here's something for you. You just hit us with all those stats, how amazing Truex is. What if he is out to lunch during practice and just they unload and it's just terrible?
You'd have to look at other drivers, maybe garage him, maybe fade.
That's when you bust out your Eric Jones.
Yeah.
Ooh, in that case, number.
It just depends, how well he does in traffic. With these 2 different practice sessions that go on and the changes to the track, it has become even harder, to handicap this stuff. So if he runs bad, I would probably fade him. That way I can, use him for a couple of races. So if he's like
top 15, probably still a good bet?
I'd go more top 12. I'd go more top 12. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I will say,
you want him to snip the front.
I will say typically the Toyotas, if they ran okay in the spring, they usually run even better in the warmer months. The Toyotas usually get better as the year goes.
That is correct. The hotter it gets, the hotter the Toyotas get.
All right.
Now, looking at Martin's last 3 races at the track, Too Tough to Tame, proved that he's one of the masters out here. He's had finishes. Now looking at his last 3 attempts, he's got finishes of 31st, 31st, and 24th. So don't let that scare you now.
That means he's due.
Well, his driver rating during that period is 103.7. So it shows that he was running really well, but he had 2 accidents and a water pump failure while he was leading. And
that also includes last year, his really bad year where he just didn't get a win, didn't make the playoffs. Bad year by his standards, at least. So.
Right. And he would have picked up another stage win if Chastain didn't bump him out of the lead when he slapped the wall. And Truex was right there and racing for the first. And of course, he would have had 8 stage wins at this point.
If you're just tuning into us, we've got Rowdy Dragon, the Rowdy Dragon, on the program. If you're listening to the audio, I highly recommend go check us out on YouTube at TobyChristieCom at that channel, because we've got him right here. We can see him. We're chatting with him. It's a first.
Come on over, see what Rowdy looks like.
He's got a cool Monster Energy backdrop there. It looks really cool.
You betcha.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I had to get rid of the sound. What do you call it? The sound dampening stuff. I picked up a little feline that adopted me a few months back, so had to take it down.
Yeah, mine are chewing up, but they're chewing up the sound padding behind my monitor, so I don't see it.
Am I the lone person in this show today that does not have a cat?
Looks like you're gonna have to get a cat.
Yeah, get a cat.
Something's gonna have to happen here, I guess.
2 are even better.
Oh
they
my!
Play with each other and run around the house, and it's crazy. All right, so Rowdy Dragon, I'm not going to let you go without my original question. Who are the first 4 eliminated?
First 4 eliminated, I would go with McDowell.
Okay.
I know I had that all sitting here a minute ago.
Lots of thought going into this, by the way.
Yeah. McDowell. Stenhouse is out. He didn't even show up at Daytona. I mean, he did for a bit, but Stenhouse and Blaney, I'd like to say he's going to make it, but this is not his best track. In fact, this is probably his worst track.
Wow, Blaney, that's a surprise.
Yeah, he's probably going to take a big hit this weekend. And honestly, I think Ross Chastain's going to fall out. Those guys haven't been doing a thing lately. So those are my 4.
Wow.
Those are the 4. All right. Well, it's good to hear that we've got the expert opinion on the 4 dropping out in the first round of the playoffs, which is Darlington, Kansas, and Bristol. So there you go.
There it is.
There you have it.
So I think we call it a show. I mean, this was supposed to be a quick 5-10 minute hit with Rowdy, and we actually managed to do a whole show. We're running out of time on Zoom and everything.
Well, I mean,
what do we do?
We're starting the playoffs now. So before we go, I got to give a shout out to the top 10 here.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So as we always do here at the Final Lap Weekly, we start in the 10th spot. Currently sitting in P10 is 19 Spins 22. In 9th is K Suds, or Suds with the silent K. It's a beer thing.
Yeah.
All right. In 8th, Moonshiner 3. And in 7th, of course, you got me, Rowdy Dragon. 7th place, Losing Makes My Dick Trickle, is sitting there. Rocco Rocks in 5th. And Harry and the Hogs, Harry Hyde in 4th place. And in 3rd place, we've got Happy 57. Pretty happy with his score, I'm sure. And in P2, Troy Clark, the man from Dananda. And of course, we're all chasing Larson 2023. He's been leading for quite some time now. So it's playoff time. Let's run him down, boys.
I think, we're listening to these names you keep putting in these people, the usernames. We need to have a spot in the offseason where you go through and rank like the top 10 best team names that you find.
Right.
Yeah, there's an idea. Only thing is, since we started the season, we've got 65 new players. So yeah,
well, that's good.
The attrition rate is bad though. We've, I think only about 250 are currently playing, and I'm watching them weekly fall off because, they don't like seeing guys like Rowdy Dragon always beating them. But honestly,
people forget to make their picks like me, but I still stick with it.
Yes, but we got the playoffs coming, and I'm doing the trophy thing for the playoff run. So everybody come back in and play again. The points reset. So we've got, the full season trophy and then the playoff trophy. And right now with congratulations to Larson 2023 too. He won the regular season and he gets himself a big pat on the back. So that's what you get for this one.
Yeah, nice. There you go. All right, well, I think the checkered flag is flying on not only the show, but a giant version of Fantasy NASCAR, thanks to Rowdy Dragon for joining us on the Final Lap Weekly this week. I think that's our show, Toby. I don't think we need to really do much more. We managed to pack in a pre-race and, stats and everything into this one thing with Rowdy, so that's awesome.
Oh, there's plenty more. Don't forget to come over to TobyChristie.com, listen to Rowdy Dragon's NASCAR Fantasy Sportsbook. I'm breaking down those head-to-head matches.
There you go.
Got to make it easier for you guys.
Yeah, we need all the help we can get.
We really do, definitely. If we could
All
just
right,
listen to you
Toby.
as much as the other people that are doing well listen to, I think we'd be in a good spot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Toby, you and I will chat next week. And Rowdy, you will be here as well with your fancy music next time.
You betcha. All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, Toby, you want to do the credits real quick, and we'll just call it a show.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing I threw those people in earlier. So that works out good.
Because I didn't know what you were doing there. I was like, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't understand we were doing like a breakout thing. I just assumed we were keeping them on. I didn't know. So I was like,
yeah, no, we
throw them in.
Yeah, originally it was going to be we would do our thing in the beginning of the show and throw it to Rowdy like always, and we would all be there. But this works better. It's great.
Yeah, so, I think it's good too.
Works for me.
So, Kerry, we've got some other people to talk about, right?
Time now for our giant list of Patreon paying people that like to give us money because they like what we do a lot, and we totally appreciate it. Patreon.com/thefinallap.
Seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, we really do appreciate it. Let's go through this list, Kerry. We've got the people we mentioned at the top of the show when we were first talking to Rowdy Dragon before we got into the really innards of the weekend. We've got Devin, one of our sponsors there, Louisville Max as well. We've got Joe Bike, and of course, David Letchworth. Thank you guys so much. You guys do a lot for what we do here, and we greatly appreciate it. We've also got our other Patreon subscribers as well, though. We've got Laylo, we've got Robert Keene, Jimmy B, Mr. Jimmy James, 1983. Thank you, Jimmy. We've got Quentin Whitaker. I saw him at Daytona. Got to hang out with him, his wife, his kid. It was great. We had a good time. Really good to see those guys. We've got Simon Green from across the pond. Troy Clark from down under, as Rowdy already mentioned earlier. So really cool to see he's doing well in fantasy as always. We've got Peter Johansson, David Reed, James Maples II. We've got Evan Taylor, Mike Hamilton. We've got Nick Reed. We got Scott Clark, not Sam Clark. That's kind of weird. I don't know why I did that. We've got Justin Kapuscinskis. He's a huge Kyle Larson fan. I'm sure he is like just ready. He's just ready for this weekend because Larson's usually really, really good at Darlington. And as long as Ross Chastain doesn't crash him, I'm sure he'll have a pretty good run again. And of course, we've got Charles K. Miller, the longest tenured listener of the show. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, everybody on this list. And back to you, Kerry Murphy.
All right, Toby Christie, thank you so much for being on the program. And thanks again to Rowdy Dragon. This was awesome. Yeah, very cool to have you. And we'll catch you on next week's show. And maybe we'll do another one of these video things throughout the playoffs or maybe a season wrap-up or something like that. But this was awesome.
Anytime, just holler.